This is Texans TV.
Free agency is officially underway and deals being made left and right. Plus, we're going to the film to break down the play of a returning Texan. Texans 360 is now.
We are ready to rock in Houston. Rock and roll, touchdown Texans. What an effort by Fuller.
Hello there, friends, and welcome into Texans 360. My name is Drew Dougherty. I'm your host. I've got the voice of the Texans, Marc Vandermeer, over to my left, and we are so grateful that you're with us and watching this. We have a lot to get to because we got to talk about a new Texan or two and what they've done in the community. Plus, we're going into the film room and looking back at some things, but we start off with the news of the week. We heard all about it. Massive trade. DeAndre Hopkins going to Arizona in exchange for David Johnson and a second-round pick. Also, a pair of fourth-rounders were flip-flopped. You will never replace DeAndre Hopkins with one person, but this is a huge deal that really reshapes the receiving core and this offense for Deshaun Watson and company.
Well, I think first of all, Drew, and by the way, we're 3 feet apart, like we should be, at least. But I think first of all, you have to acknowledge everything that DeAndre Hopkins did for this organization. I mean, he was phenomenal, one of the greatest Texans ever. We have to have our little sports athlete funeral for DeAndre Hopkins and acknowledge the pain of a great player leaving. But what's coming in, and look, these things happen. I think what they're building here offensively, and I know we're going to get into this in detail later, is very exciting, and they're not even close to being done yet. And David Johnson is the key piece of this, plus the second rounder, which is a 40th pick overall, which could get exciting as well. But David Johnson's a really good running back. He's got to stay healthy, but he can add a lot to this offense because he's a great receiver and he can get yards between the tackles.
Yeah, you mentioned the 40th overall pick, so that means the Texans now have 2 second rounders, the 40th and the 57th overall, so they've improved a little bit there as far as draft capital for late April. Now, that's not the only move that happened this week. That trade was one of many, and we saw the Texans also bring in, according to reports, guys like Randall Cobb, the receiver from the Dallas Cowboys, had 15 yards a catch last year. You also see, a safety, Murray, from the Browns. But the Texans re-signed a lot of their own. And Bradley Roby, the quarterback, that was one of the more surprising moves. He's coming back after a really solid 2019 in Houston.
Yeah, he's very good. And without Jonathan Joseph, what were you going to do here? Roby hits the market, but they bring him right back in. So he and Conley, they brought back Vernon Hargraves. And I think that what you're looking at here is a really exciting mix in the secondary. You mentioned Murray, the safety from Cleveland. He can play special teams for you. And maybe that enables you to take Justin Reed off of special teams because he's such a good safety and you don't want the wear and tear on him. I don't know how they're going to put it together, but he had the shoulder issues last year. I think it's pretty exciting what they're doing on the back end of that defense so far. And again, they're not done.
Yeah, and you just brought up special teams. Another guy who is very, very important and has been important over the last 2 years on special teams is punt returner DeAndre Carter. 3rd best in the NFL with about 9.5 yards per punt return. It's pretty darn good. But he made a huge catch at Tampa Bay in Week 16 this season, and we're looking back at it in the film room. Johnny, it's right before Christmas. Texans have 9 wins. They get a victory in Tampa Bay. It's over. AFC South is locked up, complete. They get it, okay?
Yep.
So they're playing a Saturday afternoon game, which is kind of rare. You don't normally play on Saturdays. And it's tied up at 20-20. This is a tight one. Because Fuller's out, you're seeing some guys that don't normally play as much in the game. Guys like DeAndre Carter.
Yeah, that's a big one. If you remember, a year almost to the day, we had gone to New York to face the Jets.
Yeah.
And the offense is struggling. In
On
third
a Saturday,
quarter, Deshaun hit DeAndre a little short pass. DeAndre then took it. I think it ended up being like a 50-yard gain. They ended up scoring on that drive. That was big. They would end up scoring here. Tie ball game. It's 3rd and 6, and you can see the Texans come out a bunch. And here are the 3 receivers. But DeAndre Carter right here, the Texans are going to take advantage of the Buccaneers not rolling the dice completely, but taking a little bit of a risk. They're going to run a little bit of a sim pressure and then bring rookie Sean Bunting right off the edge here. and they're going to drop a couple of guys here, but everybody else is playing man except for the safety in the middle of the field right here. So he's going to man up on a tight end, and when Levante David comes out after showing, he is going to have to carry DeAndre Carter all the way up the field.
Good luck.
And that is what Deshaun sees. Now, Stills ends up not being the receiver on this, but the safety over here was showing like a half-field disguise. He's now going to come in the middle of the field, and he's going to help on anything that he sees. Well, watch the first thing that he sees. Kenny Stills just whipping that guy. So he's thinking, I got to get over here. That, then, if you look at it right now, if you just freeze it, just what he's looking at.
Nothing on the left side.
Looks like he's in pretty good coverage right there on DeAndre Carter. There's nothing over here because that corner still got the tight end and Darren Fells is blocking. So the safety was just coming over to help on Kenny Stills because that's where he thought the ball was going. Deshaun sees this. You can see his eyes right there. And that's where he thought maybe, but then he knows, wait a second, I got a lot of room to work. Deshaun lofts a beautiful throw and just drops it. Look at that, right in the bucket. Now, I would show you that again, but I think the shot from behind is actually better. You got
It shows you what a great catch this is. I mean, it was a beautiful pass. This is a tough catch on the run.
You can see how everything gets picked up right here up front. Not bad. Deshaun's got a nice pocket to throw from. These two guys are pretty much out of the play. They're waiting for Duke to come out or Fells to come out, so they're out. And so here's the route we're looking at right there. But you can see the feet of the safety right at the top of the screen. He's already worried about Stills, so he's getting out of there. And DeAndre, being smart, sees him leave. So he knows, I got to make this a foot race with a guy that's really fast. David's a linebacker, but he can fly.
He's good, but he's not as fast as Carter. And Carter makes him pay here.
And you can see, I love this, just put that ball out there. You
On
can
the
see,
run.
man, look at that. Talk about throwing to an open spot. Just throw it to a spot and let your guy go get it. I could watch this all day. Man, I mean, this is Deshaun Watson in a nutshell. Give him some time, and look at the touch on this. This is what a lot of young quarterbacks can't do because they can't figure out, first of all, he's about to throw this football. Here he is right here. Look where DeAndre is right here with Levante David.
He's covered up in that scenario right there. Yeah.
So should he drill it right here?
Nah.
Should he throw it deep, way deep and go? No, he just floats it to a spot and gives his guy time, knowing what throw to make. I mean, look where that ball is and where it's going, about right there, and DeAndre's got to go meet it. A lot of young quarterbacks can't do that, and Deshaun just puts that thing on the money.
On third down, no less, Texans would kick a field goal later on. 23-20 is the final huge play there for Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Carter.
That was one of the big ones of the year.
Coming up, Dylan Cole shares the amazing story of his first career touchdown. Texans 360 is coming back. Drew, Mark here in the Arctic Studios on Texans 360, and one of the guys coming back who is with you and has been with you a few years, linebacker Dylan Cole. Valuable piece of the defense.
Well, undrafted player, right? And a player who can cover backs, tight ends out of the backfield, can wreak havoc between the tackles as a linebacker. He can do it all, play special teams for you. So he's meant a lot to this team so far, and you got to have him healthy for 2020.
He's meant a lot to this team. He meant a lot to a young lady a few years back when he caught his first interception and returned it for a touchdown.
Back in the AFC South, and can ill afford to go 0-2 in the division as Houston desperately needs a win today.
This is a very, very important game for your Houston Texans.
October 1st, week 4 of the 2017 regular season. The Texans are hosting the Tennessee Titans. Rookie Deshaun Watson and the offense erupted. He threw 4 touchdowns and ran for another. But Watson wasn't the only rookie who made a lasting impression. Midway through the 4th, inside linebacker Dylan Cole did something that would last well after the clock struck 0.
Dylan Cole showing blitz. Castle gets the snap, throws over the middle, and it's picked off. Cole taking it to his left, 15, 10, 5, rock and roll, touchdown, Texans. Pick 6.
You really can't appreciate the play that Dylan Cole just made. Touchdown! Texans!
Go! Go to speed! Go to speed!
A 2,000-yard rusher and an all-state running back in high school, Cole stayed home to play his college football at Missouri State as a linebacker. Fast and furious on the field, Cole had no reason to lack confidence going into the 2017 NFL Draft. 253 names were called that weekend. Cole wasn't one of them.
They were telling me that they had a draft grade on me. They liked what I had to show. Didn't like that I was from a small school that didn't win a lot, so that was one of the negatives. So they didn't know if my play was actually as good as it could be because we weren't playing against great competitions in their eyes. So yeah, they had a draft grade on me, but it wasn't apparently good enough. So, but either way, undrafted, it's not where you start, it's where you finish.
Following the draft, Cole signed with the Texans as a free agent. With slim chances of making the squad, he capitalized on every opportunity and made the 53-man roster.
The guy shows up on the field and man, this guy's a really good player. He's instinctive, he's a hard worker, seems like a guy we'd really like to coach, and the next thing you know, he's there, he's on special teams, and the next year he's a guy that's gonna play a lot of football for you. That's Dylan Cole. It's always cool to see a story like that.
Cole finally got his chance to play in the NFL. But just being part of the 53-man brotherhood wasn't enough. Week by week, Cole's production increased, and he began making impact plays. During the Texans' Week 4 matchup against the Titans, Cole had his first interception that he returned for a touchdown.
Throws over the middle, and it's picked off. Cole taking it to his left, 15, 10, 5, rock and roll, touchdown, Texans. Pick 6.
You really can't appreciate the play that Dylan Cole just made.
This was the very moment that would connect Dylan to 4 strangers forever. The Johnson family was there that day. 4 of the 72,000 fans at NRG Stadium.
We've tried to go to 1 or 2 a year. We don't make it a common practice due to finances, but we spill every once in a while and go and enjoy it. It's a great viewpoint from right there.
The kids love it because they have like the cheerleaders right there. Toro comes by, so just how close you are to all the action and everything.
With 8:39 left in the 4th, Dylan Cole met the Johnsons for the first time.
In the game, I just remember catching the ball, and I was like, I can't do, like in college, I mean, I don't know how many interceptions I had in college, but I never ran one back. And when you're on defense, if you ever get the ball, like, you got to score. Like, you don't get those opportunities very much. So I was like, don't ruin this. Get this guy off of you, and then just run like hell until you get to the end zone.
He got the pick 6, and then my dad, I was actually on my phone, and my dad was like, Haley, get off your phone, put your hands out. So I did that, and then he just started running over to me. I got really excited.
And I saw him notice her out of the corner of his eye through his helmet. And right then I'm like, no way. I was like, I think he's gonna come over here.
I just tried to absorb all of the crowd noise and like the excitement that was going on. You only get to have your first interception and your first touchdown one time. So I definitely was just like looking up and looking at the crowd, and I remember looking left and I see a little girl kind of reaching out, and I was like, yeah, you can have this ball. I mean, no, like this is awesome. Like, I want to share this moment with you. Why not?
It was cool because like everyone around us was wanting to see it, and it was really funny because my dad had to like keep it with him so no one would try to steal it or anything.
It was unbelievable. You know, just to have an NFL player make a special moment like that for one of your kids is just, you can't thank them enough.
I gave her the ball, didn't think anything of it until I went to the sideline. They're like, hey, where did your ball go? I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I gave it to a girl. She's like, what? That's your first? And I was like, it's not a big deal. Like, I remember the moment. That's all I need.
Thought about going to play the lottery after she got that ball. It's just something, that's what I told her. Look around the stadium. You know, it's just the right time, the right place, the right player. He's got a gracious heart, obviously.
Haley made it out of the stadium with the ball in her hands. But one gracious gift from Dylan inspired Haley to do the same.
The game was over and we got to the car, and the guy that we get the tickets from was texting us because he had heard about everything already. And he had mentioned that it was his first touchdown. So we were telling Haley about it.
If I had my first touchdown, like I would want that ball just to like remember that moment. And I was like, well, he probably does too, so I want to give that back to him.
She wanted to give me the ball back because she felt like it was more important for me to have it than her. And I thought that was incredible. I thought, these parents must have raised this child right. It really touched my heart, and it gives me chills right now just thinking about it. She wanted me to have this, so I'll forever have this, and very special to me.
Later in the season, the Johnson family visited Dylan at NRG Stadium, where they exchanged gifts and a letter that Haley wrote for Dylan.
It was talking about like how he was such an inspiration to me because I do cheer, and last year I tried out for my school cheer team and I didn't make it. And just to see how like he was never drafted, but he still got that far, it was like, well, I think I can do that too. So I tried out again this year and I did make it.
I don't think he quite realizes the impact he made that day, and he may never, but hopefully the letter creeps into his heart and makes him understand it's such a huge impact, and all these little guys and girls look up to you, whether you realize it or not, and just keep it up.
The most you can say is thank you, but you want to find more words to say, and it's hard to find the words to tell her. So, I mean, she's an extremely special girl, and she has a great heart, and this means a lot to me, and but I think her act of kindness meant so much more to me.
In just a moment, what might the offense look like in 2020? Texans 360 rolls on. Sure do appreciate you watching Texans 360 with the voice of the Houston Texans, Marc Vandermeer, and myself, Drew Dougherty. All right, let's focus on the 2020 offense, and there are many components that we got to discuss here. But ultimately, Deshaun Watson has many weapons.
Yes.
To distribute the ball to.
Well, he does, and look, we all love DeAndre Hopkins and what he meant for this offense, but when you look at this thing on paper, now it's only March, because they're clearly not done.
And that's an aspect we got to get into. I know where you're going with this.
So let's just look at what's in the stable today for you if you played this weekend, right? And if everybody was healthy, which I know is a big if, Drew. I know it's a gigantic I and a gigantic F, but if everybody's healthy, you have David Johnson and Duke Johnson in the backfield. Johnson and Johnson, right? Good for me, the play-by-play man. You have Randall Cobb. You have Will Fuller. You have Kenny Stills and Kiki QT, DeAndre Carter, who we saw earlier. However you want to put that mix together. But I think with Cobb, third down capability, Fuller, everything he does to a defense, drawing double teams and such, Stills, what he meant for this team, this is really exciting. And we forgot about the tight ends. What about them?
Yeah, well, and we haven't even mentioned Deshaun Watson, because he's the guy that matters the most in this offense, and he's still here.
Yeah, that's the key. You have a quarterback that you want to have around for a decade plus. I mean, I know we just saw the greatest of all time leave his original team after 2 decades. That's kind of freaky stuff, but Drew Brees has been playing forever. Stop me. I think Deshaun Watson, what you're trying to do here is cycle in players every 3 or 4 years, because every NFL roster flips after that amount of time. So you want to build this offense around him. These tight ends, what they're going to mean to him. Kahale Waring, rookie last year, who basically redshirted with the injury on IR. It's really exciting to see what the upside is there. You put all that together with Deshaun, and I think it's going to be very compelling stuff.
Plus, you've mentioned this many times on and off the air over the last week or so. It's still March. I mean, Laramie Tunsil and Kenny Stills came to the Texans on Labor Day weekend. I mean, there's a lot of movement that's still going to happen with this offense, with this team as a whole.
Well, who are you going to draft, right? I mean, you could draft a receiver at 40th, for instance, that could really help this football team. We can't really evaluate it until they start playing games for real in September. Let's hope they do with everything that's going on.
Yeah, and so much has changed CBA-wise as far as how the team can prepare. And then with the coronavirus pushing everything back, it's going to be it's always an interesting offseason, but it's going to be a different offseason this time around.
Well, teams with the good quarterbacks are going to have a big advantage going into this season with the offseason program being pushed back or eliminated or whatever happens to it.
All right, good stuff, Mark. Coming up after the break on Texans 360, what has David Johnson done in the community? It's all next. Texans 360 is presented by Tide, America's #1 laundry detergent. Welcome back, Drew and Mark. And the Texans' 3 main goals as an organization: winning championships at the top of that list, creating memorable experiences, but doing great things for the city of Houston. And so many of the players do that on a weekly basis. Well, it looks like David Johnson's one of those guys that'll do it as well.
Yeah, he did it in Phoenix. So let's take a look at something David Johnson did there with the Cardinals. What he might do here, you never know.
So our primary focus is serving kids that are chronic and seriously ill children and their families, giving them support, resources, and opportunities, throughout daily lives. And this is our first time actually being at a school and bringing our Davis Locker to the school. And so we're very excited bringing To the school, we're bringing iPads and noise-canceling headphones.
One shot? Oh, you're good. That's a good one.
It means a lot to us just because we know a lot of children who autism has affected. We also know the impact of how awesome it is for David to be here at the school, see their faces light up.
It hits home. Growing up, I had a lot of help, with coaches, teachers. We wanted to do the same thing for kids.
Johnson, by the way, was Arizona's Walter Payton Man of the Year Award nominee in 2019. All right, going to be fun to see what he does. And if you want to see more cool things like that, go to HoustonTexans.com, go to the mobile app, even scan your QR code. This guy has QR codes at the Yin Yang, so you should too if you don't already. But Mark, always fun having you along. Let's do this again real soon.
Let's do it again, and go to the website also to get information on what our partners are doing in the community during this difficult time for everybody. Stay healthy, please.
For Mark, for Joe Pallas, for Tyler Suddarth and Tyler Marcotte, I'm Drew Dougherty, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to know when we post new content.